Getting a lot of work done on my barn. I did my own 3-phase commercial electric install. I backfilled the entire driveway, which was a lot of work. I moved over 90,000 pounds of dirt by hand with just a little wheelbarrow. I sealed the concrete floors, which came out really good. Didn't want to worry about doing the polyaspartic or polyurea and wasting time with that, just for it to get all destroyed from welding and grinding. And I also did a lighting install, so I got light in the barn. I got some outlets in there. I got a garage door opener. And next I'm gonna get my lift installed hopefully in the next week or two. And once that's done, we can hopefully get back to regularly scheduled program and start working on the car again. But I've been doing all the work myself. I haven't been paying anyone to do it, so it's been taking a lot of time. It's been saving me a lot of money, and everything that I did on this barn was all built cash without any loans, without any debt. So that slows things down, but it's the right way to do it. So hope you guys enjoy this video and a few updates, and once that lifts in, I'll get another video up and hopefully we can start playing with things again here soon. Working on my electrical install a little bit. I'm doing a 3-phase 208 Y120 commercial install. So I got a 4-aught quadruplex here that I just got done pulling through my conduit that I buried before I built the barn. And it was actually really, really easy. It went right through. So it goes there, comes about here, 45s, goes straight down, 45s again, and then 90s up over here. So you can see it's coming out. I got one of these really cool like Chinese finger trap contraptions. They actually pull it through. So as you pull this, all that tightens up, and it actually made life really easy. I got my meter box mounted here. It's a 7-lug bypass, basically coming in the side here, gonna go up and around into the top, and then the service entrance just shoots right down here and right through into there, into the panel. Pennsylvania's on NEC 2017, so you don't need a emergency disconnect. 2017 also doesn't need the expansion sleeve, but I didn't want any of this settling and potentially ripping the meter off the wall. So got the panel installed. So you can see the meter actually bolts to these pieces of wood that I sistered with 1/4-inch lags. I put some 2x4s on the outside of the posts, and I put a piece of 3/4-inch plywall to simulate the metal walls. Eventually what I'll do is I'll run all these 2x4s, the purlins, like they did on the outside but for the inside, and then do all sheet metal on the inside. So just getting that set up so all the widths and lengths and dimensions and everything are right, so that way when I go to remove this 3/4 piece of plywood, basically the 3/4 ribs on the metal will take up this space, and I can still flush mount my electric panel. So yeah, you can see it comes right in here and then right up through here. This is actually an invertible main, so you can actually invert the panel and then you can invert the main breaker, so that way you can do a bottom feed instead of a top feed. That way I don't have to like come in here, try and go all the way up and around. This way I can just come right in, bottom feed, done. So yeah, making good progress on that. I just gotta get the ground rods in, do the ground wire, put a new LB conduit in for that, put the ground rod somewhere down here, and then get inspection. And then Pico's gonna come out. They'll run the cable all the way up the pole. They're putting 3 transformers there. The house transformer they're moving over there, and then basically they'll run an aerial cable from there to there. Since they actually own this pole and have an easement to put on my property, they're responsible for transformers over there and getting a cable to here, and everything after that's all customer owned and is all my responsibility. So yeah, I'm happy with how this came out. I got to get everything caulked, and then I can start doing the final hookup on all this. Well, I got the cable pulled. I got all this all glued up, everything pulled through. I got everything stripped and everything torqued down. You can see I left a little bit of aluminum down here and made sure a little bit of the insulation was stripped on each of them. So that way there's no way the insulation is getting crushed in the lug. I got them labeled, the neutral, and then black, red, blue, phase A, B, C, L1, L2, L3. And then now all I have to do is I'm waiting on some copper to go from the service, or to go into the service entrance and then into the panel. And then I also have added another LB, and I buried a bunch of conduit for my ground wires and ground rod down there. So if we go on the inside, you can see we got the panel. I got this nice invertible main, so basically I can just come in right through here and then right up into here and don't have to go around up the top and whatnot. And Got this LB in here for the ground wire. And this will hook up, I guess, either to this ground bus, and then you bond the neutral, or you could probably go directly to the neutral and then bond the neutral to the ground with this again, so that these have ground. I don't know, there's a couple different ways to do it. I'll see what the inspector wants done, but that came out really good. And then I got a bunch of extra cable left over here on the pole. And then basically the electric company is responsible for putting the transformers on there and then running the secondaries from there to there and then splicing into my cable. This is a Pico owned pole that they have an easement to put on my property, and basically everything after it is all mine. So yeah, install came out really good. Just got to get it inspected after I get the service entrance in and finish up the ground rods. Finishing up the service entrance, I got all the 4/0 copper in for the A, B, and C phase and for the neutral. And I also put another LB in for the ground wire, so that runs all the way down there. And then there's 2 ground rods spaced 6 foot apart. And then on the inside, you can see phase A and C are flipped because this panel's actually inverted. So you have to do everything upside down. It is an invertible panel. It's allowed to be installed like this. And if you actually look at it, you can see when it is installed inverted, you go A, B, C, right to left. A, B, C. That way it lines up with 1, 3, 5 and 2, 4, 6. And that way you start your breakers from the bottom and go up. Just like how if you were literally to invert it, you can see now it's a regular panel. It's got A, B, C, and then you can see breakers would go from, top to bottom. But this is all inverted, so everything's backwards. It's kind of confusing, but it makes things a lot easier just coming the bottom like that instead of having to go all the way up and around. And man, that 4/0 copper is not easy to bend. That was difficult, but just getting one duplex outlet installed. Got everything pulled and wired up. And trying out these Wagos connectors. Just got to throw the grounds on and finish all this up. And inspection is in a couple days. Hopefully that passes, because then week or 2, Pico's coming out to put the transformers and hook up to my cable there. This baby's gonna have juice, and then finally get my lift installed here and get some lighting in here and actually start using this place, because it's been really tough to use this with just one little extension cord coming through the conduit through the house. You just can't get enough light in here. You can't get enough power in here to power the lift or to use all the tools. So it's critical that I get this installed, and it just didn't make sense to do a sub panel from the house, because I'd be limited to 100 amp single phase, and it's just not what I want when I got 3 phase conveniently placed right there running through my area. So gonna get this finished up, get this outlet banged in, and then I can always continue this run all the way around the whole building, and I'll have power on the wall for the whole thing. And I can go up for the lights. I'm gonna do like 3 there, 3 there or something, run all that up over the ceiling before I do ceilings and insulation up there. Almost done. All duplex finished up. Just got a 20 amp breaker on phase A, got the ground, neutral, and then playing around with these Wagos connectors. They're actually pretty cool, I like them. You can see it's kind of a mess to use them though with the duplex, but I think they're a lot easier than trying to twist wires. I only needed an extra one for the ground because I should have bought a 4 instead of a 3. So basically I had to use a 3 to get the 2 grounds for each outlet, and then jumper that over to here, and then ground the box, and then ground it to the panel. So yeah, it came out pretty good. I'm happy with that. Time to get this thing inspected. Well, I got Pico out here to install the 3 transformers. There used to be a single phase transformer there for me and my neighbor's house. Basically they moved that over there and then just ran a wire over here, reconnected up to all that, and all the residential stuff stayed exactly the same. So got the 3 120/208 and Y configuration, and then they were basically responsible from an aerial cable from those transformers all the way over to the pole. And then the pole's where I had my conduit connect up to, and basically had my cable run up there. They put on all that U-guard and spliced my cable into theirs. I bought that adapter, and then they basically just put all that in. You can see the splice there into mine, and then basically everything after this pole is all customer owned. And they also came out and set the meter. So system is live, and I'll show you guys in a second. As you can see, it's working. ABC. And then quickly go in the barn. But yeah, this baby's got juice. Start getting some lights installed in it and really start using it. Got the panel cover back on. Got my single breaker in here right now. And yeah, it's got the car charger plugged in. But there you go. You got power and correct polarity. So next I actually want to I'm going to put in a 50 amp 240 style plug for my welder. I want to maybe stick that right here so I can start doing some welding, or maybe put it over here. I can start doing some welding. Car lift's going to go here, so that'll use the 3-phase, and boiler's going to go there. That'll use the 3-phase. And then we'll have plenty left over for CNC machines, lathes, you know, milling machines, whatever I can get my hands on to put in here, because got a good amount of space in here. Well, last thing I've been wanting to do is phase test. So I got a little $20 phase rotation tester to make sure that my default order is clockwise. You know, it should be black, red, blue, should be the appropriate coloring. Phase A, B, C. Reason why it's backwards on this end is because this panel's inverted. You know, normally you would look at it like that. A, B, C, black, red, blue. But in this case, it's backwards. So I'm gonna go ahead, got this connected up to, you can see phase A, phase B's in the middle, and C's on the side. So I should flip this on, you should see all 3 of those light up, and we should see the clockwise rotation. There, that middle one is actually lit up. I think the refresh rate on the camera is actually perfectly in sync with it, because this is probably 60 frames per second, or 60 hertz, and this camera is 60 frames per second. But all 3 of these are lit up. You can kind of see it. There you go. All 3 of those are lit up, and you can see we got clockwise rotation. So this panel's set up right. Now I can use the proper black, red, blue for ABC instead of having to swap things around at the breaker and get the coloring all out of order and make it all messy. Now everything's nice and perfect, so can't beat that. Well, I've been working on doing some grading. I brought in about 20 tons of topsoil so far, and moved all this by hand with the wheelbarrow. You can see I'm basically backfilling all these edges here. And yeah, I got about halfway done. Still got a decent chunk to do, but had to do all that all the way around and all this all the way up, and I think I got it pretty darn good. So basically just matched the grade here, and you know, should be still fairly mowable. So there's a lot of work to do this, but needed to be done to protect that edge of the driveway and to make things look a lot better. I've been working on backfilling the driveway for my barn. I brought in about 90,000 pounds of topsoil, a little over 30 yards, and moved it all by hand with a wheelbarrow and a shovel over 2 or 3 weekends. I got everything seeded. I got straw and everything. You can see everything from there and up all grew in already. So just waiting on this second half right here. But yeah, this is a big job, about 32 yards. So I think that comes out to about 45 tons or so. Yeah, you can see it's really coming in over here. Real nice and thick. So this is the first section I did about like 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and wanted to do it in phases so that way I get the grass grown and didn't have to try and grow all this at once. Yeah, it's really coming in nice. So before I had this huge edge, you know, a big 12-inch edge. So now I don't have to worry about driving off and if I hang a wheel, you know, if the edge of the parking lot backing out or something, or moving something really big, I don't have to worry about pushing the tires off that edge or having any of these driveway edges crack. This should provide a lot of support now. So yeah, it's getting there. Been working on a few projects here in the barn build. See, I got everything moved over here. I can really cram stuff in one of these bays. Get a car, some decent walking and storage space, another car and a trailer. And also a little bit of space up here too, which is nice. Anyway, I've been working on sealing my concrete floors. I use this Ghost Shield product. So first I did a 4500 concrete densifier on the whole slab. So I just finished up that third one down there. Eventually all this was in the third, and you know, I did this and then flip-flopped everything around. And then I also did this 8510. It's a solvent-based concrete sealer. And I only did this bay so far, so that's why everything's moved over here now, because now that this bay dried, I can do those two now and move everything that was over there over here. But it works really well. It basically repels water, oil, any kind of dirt, grime. Makes it just very easy to wipe off. And it went on very well, and I'll try and get some footage of me sealing this area over here. I'll do a quick test and show how good it is at repelling water. I might do a test for oil. Hopefully it doesn't leave a stain or anything, but I think it should be minimal. It should make things a lot easier to clean up and don't have to worry about, you know, spending $12,000, $15,000 to do the polyaspartic or polyurea and all that. Has its own set of problems anyway. The Ghost Shield sealant came out really nice on the concrete. It all pretty much dried about just 3 days later, 72, 100 hours. It's very repellent to water. Pretty much done my lighting install. 4 150s, 3 150s. It works out really well. Got the second breaker put in. So you just got a basic feed. Using all MC cable. A lot of this is gonna be temporary until I do ceilings and walls and blah blah, but put a switch box over here so I can control each bank when I come in the door. And again, nothing that crazy, just some basic MC cable. And you can see it branches off, and then basically I've got a bunch of outlets for each light. And when I go to do the ceilings, I can pull that down, put the metal up, re-drill the holes through the metal so that I can use the same hole in the stud to mount the lights and everything, and just slap the wire back up. So it'll make things really easy, but yeah. Turn that off, turn that off. Whoop. Yeah, I mean, this place is so bright. Even during the day, these lights really add a lot, but I mean, my garage before, the lighting was awful. So it's really nice to have some really decent lighting in this place now, because it's really gonna make things easier to work on and easier to find stuff that got dropped on the ground. And these LED halo lights are great. They're the Hyperlight Halo series, so. Or Hero, something like that. Well, the garage looks pretty good from the street. It's bright. It's kind of nice. It actually lights up the whole property. But I'm all the way here at the end of the driveway. There's the power pole. So I'm way over here, and man, it's got some light shining off this thing. Looks great though. I'll close the doors and get a little radio recording of that because it looks even cooler. Here's the old S70. I really like having this pad because I actually have 61 foot from the back all the way to here. I mean, I could work on one car there, a car there, and a car on the lift. I work on 3 cars in a row per bay, 9. You could actually even fit 2. So I could actually probably work on like 18 cars at once in here. It sounds crazy, but I mean, maybe make it happen. Looks pretty cool with the doors closed. Looks very like, I don't know, like kind of spooky, kind of like eerie, you know, what's going on in there. But yeah, it doesn't throw out nearly as much light, but yeah, the windows do a little bit. They add a little bit of light, but not much. Sure, I can keep the doors open a little bit at night. Hasn't been letting in too many moths, so I don't know, but yeah, lighting's done. I'm really happy with it. I also kind of lucked out on this, but kind of also planned this. I planned on putting the light in the center of each bay, because if I would have done the 4 like that, it would have just been on like the railings and it would have made shadows and would have been pretty bad. And 3 over on this end's plenty because I'm not gonna be really working here anyway, but I lucked out on this actually lining up perfectly with the windows, perfectly in the center. So I can actually have all 3 bays open at night and still get some good light in this area. You know, so I could have that open if I want to pull the car in and I'm testing it, park it right here, pop the hood, plenty of light shining on it, and I don't know, that worked out pretty well. Kind of lucked out on that, but hey, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.